Friday edition, Football Friday edition. There's no football this time of year, but we do have our buddy Chris Franklin at C Franklin News. It's always good to catch up with Chris. Welcome to the program, buddy. How you been? First of all, Xanderless show. He's on his honeymoon, in case you're wondering. He's in Italy.
Yeah, and congratulations. I'm envious of him. He actually gets to have real pizza, the street pizza that tastes so good. I've heard before. Congratulations to him. But it's good to talk to my man Johnny Mack, man. It's good to talk to you about this stuff.
Yeah, good to see you. Have you had street pizza in Italy? So now I'm interested.
No, the closest I've had is probably Elio's, Papa John's, and all those other stuff right now. No, but
I was just saying because I'm curious when where Xander's going, what he's doing, and we'll talk about that when he gets back. But I'm thinking, is it Rome? Is it Turin? I'm trying to think. Is it what else do we have?
Florence,
Florence, yeah,
lucky man.
Exactly.
He's lucky.
Exactly. But we'll get to that when Xander gets back. We have Chris, and we've been talking about this off season as a whole. Boy, and there's so many conflicting signals, Chris. I saw one of my problems with shifting to this offensive scheme, and the perception of it is that everybody's doing it, man. And I saw a note on X yesterday where basically 75% of the league is playing too high and on early downs now, which has kind of been the answer to the McVay Shanahan style schemes with the pre-snap motion and the trying to figure out man coverage. Well, how do they deal with it? They stop playing man coverage. If that's the case, why are the Eagles so far? That's an organization, Chris, remember, that prides itself on being innovative and forward thinking. That's my biggest problem with this. Why are they so behind the curve and think, hey, we got to do this? I'm worried about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of homogenization when it comes to seeing the Shanahan stuff. It's basically, I wouldn't be surprised if we see after the 2026 season more teams go to it. I just think it goes more towards more personnel fits. I think there's a underlying, if you look at the front office way, I think there's an underlying saying of, hey, you know what? If we try to spread the ball a lot more around in these type of systems and diversify the formations a little bit more, that you don't have to pay a lot of the top guys as much money, and you can recycle through some of these guys. I think that's one aspect of it. But when it comes to the Eagles, I think overall, I think there is a personnel need. I think it had to do with some of the personnel. I think that I know Barkley, it wasn't Barkley's strong suit to run the outside zone per se, as well as I said, like the straight ahead, like the gap style. But I think when you look at what you have there, you look at what you have with Tank, and the fact that now you don't have AJ there, you have Devontae and you got Devontae Wicks and this multitude of receivers and tight ends now. I think it just makes the offense a little bit more balanced. I think it makes it a little bit more tougher to go toward more than one side of the shell. You try to spread it out a little bit more. And I think that's the way they can try to attack it. And as you look probably like if this is successful, you look 2 or 3 years down the line, you don't per se have to continue to pay as much money for these wide receivers, in my opinion, because if you get them running in the same, if you get them running in the same different areas and different routes, and you have good coaching, you can probably get away with it a little more. So I think it's a little more front office driven, and sometimes also on the field in terms of just trying to be more balanced.
Yeah, it's interesting because we have gotten a few opportunities to talk to Nick in this offseason, and he's still pounding the table for the ball security, which is, kind of obvious. I mean, you don't want to turn the ball over, but I do always say, I mean, I'm old, obviously, as we can see. I've seen a lot of football practices. They do pay more attention than any other coaching staff I've ever been around to both sides of the ball security. They have all the strip circuits and obviously trying to get those techniques down so you don't fumble the football. They do pay more attention to that. So I do think they deserve credit for it. And then, when we talk about the autonomy of Sean Mannion, Nick will throw in there. Well, yeah, well, I mean, if I got to step in, I'll step in. Which I don't think is a bad thing. I think he's the head coach. That's the way it's got to be. But I do worry about the perception because first time play caller, little struggles maybe early in the season, growing pains. You don't have AJ Brown to lean on. Dontavian Wicks, as you mentioned, Mekhi Lemon's been down with the hamstring. Hopefully he'll be 100% by the start of camp. I think there's a lot of obvious pitfalls for Sean Mannion. Are the Eagles going to have enough patience to live through maybe those growing pains?
I think it's built into all these moves that they're making, and I think they will give him time, knowing especially with all the moves they made, especially with AJ Brown. And you look at the whole landscape, what they can give Sean Mannion, the fact just the way it looks like they're going to build into it. I think he's going to be a head coaching candidate one day. So I think they don't want to mess with him and rush him out there. I think he brings a lot of good ideas. What you hear a lot of the guys say is he's very bright. It's almost in a way like
an evil genius, Chris. Evil genius.
Yeah. We'll say he's not. I don't want to put Mike Mart's greatest show on turf level, all that stuff. For that, to me, that was
a lot of great show. I was talking about Kurt Warner before. Yeah, that offense. I don't think that upside is there with this offense. Call me crazy, but it's interesting you brought it up from the perspective of, and we were talking about JAKIB Campbell. I'm in a very small minority that, and it's basically an indictable offense in Philadelphia to say Vic got something wrong. And I think he got it wrong when he went back to Nakobe Dean. Not that Nakobe's a bad player. I love Nakobe. Everybody loves Nakobe. But JAKIB Campbell, for those first 7 games, he was going to be Defensive Rookie of the Year. Why do you sit him down? He's so gifted. This is not 8th grade soccer, I said, Chris. It sucks for Nakobe, but he should have got Wally pipped. The other guy's better. I see you're disagreeing with me.
It's a big one because I understand what you're saying in terms of the way you look at how he's integrating and he had the hot hand. But at the same time, there's something to be said about in the locker room, the team chemistry, and what Nakobe meant to that defense.
And that's what, Vic loved him. He's a leader, and all that's right. I loved it. I voted for Nakobe to be, whatever it's called, our good guy award for the Pro Football Writers, but it's not called that. But, he's phenomenal. Everything about him is great. But if I'm being honest, boy, JAKIB Campbell's gifted. Boy, he's gifted. And I'm not taking that guy off the field when he's done nothing. Like I remember saying at the time, I was talking to some of the guys, Chris, I was saying, all right, well, you have to wait till he has a bad game. When he has a bad game, then you pull him. And then you're like, all right, here we go. The growing pains and all that. He never had a bad game, and they just pulled him.
See, I look at that, and I still believe in the old adage: you don't lose your position by injury. I still look at that and say, like
Kurt Warner, were you going to put Trent Green back in?
No, like when Trent Green. I think that was way different because Trent Green was not the Trent Green. I still the Rams.
Hey, I remember because I'm old again. Dick Vermeil was crying when Trent Green got hurt, literally crying because he thought his season was over.
And don't take this the wrong way when I say this. Anybody out there when it comes to that, Dick Vermeil was a very emotional person.
Yes,
and if there was somebody at like my aunt crying at a spelling bee, if somebody was on a spelling bee and he was like the third, he cried. He did his third best thing again. I love Dick Vermeil,
right.
But he's very emotional when it comes to that.
But no, and I'm sure he loved Trent Green as well, and it was a bad situation. But the point is, and I'm sure he was upset. He was legitimately upset. For losing him, because Trent Green people forget he was a pretty damn good quarterback at that stage of his career. But nobody knew who the hell Kurt Warner was. and he comes in and he's the MVP of the league, and yeah, you're not benching him. Now that's obviously an outlier.